Say hi. Dang. No, 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 no. It says, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. What about your Bible? To Abraham and Sarah will have as many children as there are stars in the sky. Look at all the stars. Sarah gave birth to a baby boy named Isaac. Hey guys, how is it going? Me and Nora just had some breakfast, kind of had some quiet time this morning. But yeah, I just put her down for a nap, and then I took like the fastest shower ever, like a 5-minute shower. I just kind of wanted to do like a get ready with me type of video. So I just put some dry shampoo in my hair. While this sets, I'm gonna put my makeup on. I wanted to kind of give y'all an update postpartum, what it was like for me postpartum, like my whole postpartum journey. I used to think postpartum was like 6 weeks after, and then nothing after that. I thought everything was supposed to go back to normal physically after 6 weeks, and I just don't know what I was thinking. My postpartum was pretty brutal. I have a whole birth story video if you want to go watch that, but I'm just going to begin from right after having her. So some of you guys know we were planning a home birth. At 38 weeks, I found out I had preeclampsia, and so I had to be induced. My heart was broken because I didn't get to have the birth plan that I wanted. Everything changed, and so I had to go to the hospital and be induced. Thank goodness I was still with midwives in the hospital. They were able to like make sure my birth was still as close to the home birth as possible. Like they tried to do as much as they could. Okay, so I'll mention this one thing. During my birth, I had a Foley bulb done, which if you don't know what that is, it's like the balloon that they insert into your uterus, and they put the solution in it and it expands and it helps you dilate. It was supposed to help me dilate to like a 3 or 4 to get my labor going. So anyways, they asked me if I wanted that, and I said sure. Like I didn't see any risk in doing that. Like I was like, well, you know, maybe that would be helpful, it'll move it along. Having that done, I felt completely, I don't even know how to explain it. It was honestly a very traumatic part of the birth for me. So yeah, I felt like I had been molested in that moment, and so I did not scream or anything during my birth, but I was screaming, pulling Chip's arms, and it was like very traumatic. When we came home from the hospital, we were home for maybe 4 or 5 days, and Chip pulled me aside and was like, what's going on? You're acting so weird. You're like not your normal self. Thank goodness I had a husband that would ask me how I was doing and knew that there was something wrong. I put way too much concealer under my eyes today. So he noticed right away that something was wrong. Honestly, I didn't know what was wrong. I just knew I didn't want my baby. I didn't want my baby. I didn't want to feed her. I didn't want her at all, honestly. I kept telling Chip over and over again, I didn't have a baby. Like, whose baby is this? Because this is not my baby. It was very, very weird. I've never had an experience like that. After like, I guess like a week of all that, it got to a peak and it got really bad. One day I literally told Chip that I wanted to throw her. I legit thought if I was by myself, there was a chance that I would do that. And so he was like, we need to talk to somebody. This is not normal. And let me just say, before having Nora, I have been waiting to be a mom for so long. I have always felt like I was born to be a mom. Could not wait for motherhood. Could not wait to have a baby. And then whenever I was pregnant, so great. Had great feelings about it. Was so excited. Could not wait to hold my baby in my arms. Then once she was here, I was like, that's not my baby. I didn't have a baby. I don't want her. It was just very, it was hard. And I'm gonna try not to cry while I'm doing this. But I felt like a terrible mom because like, I didn't want my baby. Like, thankfully Chip asked me if I was okay because I felt terrible to even tell him that I didn't want to have her. I don't know who she was. It was just really hard. Anyways, I ended up talking to a therapist that my midwife told me about. She like specializes in like postpartum depression, because my midwife was like, this isn't just the baby blues, like this is pretty serious. After talking to her, like she kind of helped me figure out like where like my feelings had started, why I felt the way I did, and kind of helped me walk through all that. And so my birth plan had changed. My big dream of having a water birth at home completely changed. I felt abused and like something traumatic, or you know, something terrible had happened to me in the hospital from the Foley bulb. Just that act, it wasn't anything out of the normal for the hospital. It was just like, that's how I felt after having it done. And at that moment I like emotionally disconnected from the rest of my birth, and I didn't really have many emotions the rest of the time. When they put her on me, it was like, I was like, thank goodness that's over. And I was like, whose baby is this? Whose baby did they just put on me? I thought they just put like a 10-pound sack of potatoes on top of me. And it sounds terrible, but like that's how I felt. I was like, what is this? Who is this? What just happened? And so because I emotionally like disconnected from my birth, I was convinced that like I didn't have her, even though I like saw with my own eyes. I saw her come out. The like logical side of my brain knew that I had a baby, but the emotional side was like, no, that's not your baby. You didn't have those feelings. You didn't actually go through labor, because I don't remember having any emotions like through my labor. It was very weird. I've never had a moment like that. And one reason why I normally don't take this long doing my makeup, but because I'm talking, it's taking me way longer. So Nora was 9 pounds. I had preeclampsia, had to be induced at the hospital, and I pushed for 4 hours. So with all that going on, there's a chance of mama or baby having an infection after birth because of preeclampsia, and because my water had been broken for over 24 hours. 2 weeks in, I had lost 40 pounds. I couldn't stand up by myself. Chip still had to help me in and out of like the shower. Like I literally couldn't do anything. And in my head I was like, this is normal. Postpartum, you are having a hard time doing things, and this is just normal. But I lost all my color. I got really thin really fast, which is not healthy. And something was wrong, and we just kind of thought it was normal, but apparently something was wrong. In the beginning, it was really hard for me to nurse because she didn't want to latch for the longest time. And in the hospital, I saw like 4 different lactation consultants, and they all told me different things. So I left the hospital with bloody nipples, just being honest. And then finally, whenever I got home, the midwife that I was supposed to have the home birth with came and did a home check with me. She checked on me and was like, oh, no, you're not like, this is not breastfeeding, like you're not having a good experience, and let me help you. And she literally within 5 minutes, Nora latched. We had no issue. I was still in pain, but I could recover, that's fine. And my milk didn't come in for like 7 days, and I think it's supposed to come in like around 4 days. It was longer than 7, maybe it was like 9. It was over a week, I'm pretty sure. And so because of that, I had to give her formula, which was another like really heartbreaking thing, because I didn't know you could do both. I thought either you formula fed or you breastfed. You couldn't do both together. So I was squalling, calling my mom. Like, part of me is like, I don't want to feed this baby, but then the other part of me is like, I have to feed her, but like I don't want to give her formula because I want to try breastfeeding, and like if I give her formula, breastfeeding's over and it's just all done and gone. And thankfully my mom helped me through it. In like 3 days she used formula, and then my milk came in, and we've been breastfeeding ever since. So, but in the beginning it was still a really hard breastfeeding journey. I lost 40 pounds, felt terrible, couldn't stand up on my own, had a really hard time breastfeeding in the beginning, and had all these emotions, not wanting my baby, wanting to hurt her, scared for Chip to leave, because I was like, if you leave, I'm gonna be here by myself, and then when you leave, you're gonna get into a car accident, and then all this stuff is gonna happen. I wasn't sleeping at night either because, you know, she was needing to like feed every 2 hours, and I would wake up holding her wondering like, did I just feed you, or am I about to feed you, or did I just change your diaper? it was so hard, which just like it's hard for everyone in the beginning. We were home one night, Nora was sleeping, and we started watching a movie. Me and Chip started watching a movie, and I just started having this terrible pain in my abdomen and like my uterus area, and it got so intense I was squalling. I looked at Chip and I was like, I think there's another baby in me that I haven't had, because I was in labor pains all over again. And like I said, I didn't scream or anything in labor at the hospital. I think I had prepared my head and everything for that kind of pain, and so I was prepared for it during birth. But when you have that kind of pain at home, that's terrifying, because then you don't know what it is. You haven't prepared for it. You don't know what's going on. And so I was squalling. We called the hospital and they said put her in the bath, see if that helps. Honestly, we should have just gone into the emergency room. They didn't seem worried about it, and hindsight is 20/20, but we should have gone to the emergency room with the kind of pain that I was having. Like, I was having labor pains again. It was horrible. It took me probably 15 minutes to walk to the tub from the living room, and normally that would take me like 10 seconds to do. So I was in such pain. I was doing my breathing all over again that I did during birth, because that's like all I knew how to do. And Chip was just trying to calm me down. He was getting me cold rags. He was trying to get me water. I was so scared at this point. I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was gonna have to go through all of that all over again. I was like, there's another baby in me, and I already don't want this baby, like, and I'm about to have this other baby. Like, this is literally what's going on in my head. And I think I thought that there could be another baby in there, one, because I was having labor pains, but I was really big. Like, whenever I was pregnant with Nora, I got really, really big for my size and everything. And she was a 9-pound baby, and I had preeclampsia in the end, so I understand the swelling and everything, but I was pretty large for my size. And there were so many people that were like, are you sure you're not having twins? Like, your belly is so big. And so I think I had that in my head, and I was like, there's a chance that there could be another baby in there. I don't know. It was like, I didn't know what was going on. That lasted for 4 hours, that kind of pain, and I was still in a lot of pain, extremely sore, exhausted, like I had gone through labor. But after 4 hours of that, it subsided enough to where I could lay down in the bed and go to sleep. And then the next morning we immediately went, because the hospital said they would see me in the morning if I still wasn't feeling good. So, which we should have just gone to the emergency room. Now we know, but we didn't know what was going on. And I didn't want to go. I honestly didn't want to go back to the hospital, because I was so traumatized by my birth. It had only been 2 weeks later, and I was like, there's no way I'm going back there and having something traumatic happen to me again. So anyways, we went the next morning. I actually went to like a birthing center instead of the hospital. I went to a birthing center near us, and they checked on me. I'm actually glad, because I felt a lot more peace going there than going to the hospital. Once we got there, I was really upset, because one thing, I had to leave Nora with my mother-in-law after having a baby for 2 weeks, and you don't even know if you want them, but then like you're like, I don't want to leave them. I don't know, part of me was like, I don't want her, but then I don't want anybody else to have her. So anyways, we had to leave Nora for the first time, which was hard. Chip took me to the birthing center where I could see some midwives, and he had to wait in the car because of COVID restrictions, but I went in literally like not even able to stand up by myself. Honestly, they should have let him come in with me, because I could barely walk by myself. So anyways, a nurse pretty much had to like help, or a midwife had to help me like get to the room and everything, because I was legit walking like this inside, which sounds dramatic, but I can't even explain the amount of pain that I was in. I went in and she did like a internal check, and she knew I was so sore and all this pain, so she was so gentle, and I'm so glad, because I was really scared. But she felt in there and was like, oh, and I didn't say, whenever I was home, so those 2 weeks I was home, I literally was passing blood clots literally this big. I passed 2 softball size blood clots, and then I passed 4 or 5 like golf ball size blood clots. And that was terrifying. My mom thankfully was home the first time I passed like the big one. She was like taking care of me. I'm so glad she was there, because it all happened so fast. Not that Chip couldn't handle it, but I didn't want to like freak him out, because I didn't know what it was amongst all this pain and everything. So my mom helped me with it, and we actually asked my sister-in-law about it, because she's a labor and delivery nurse, and she said that's for sure a blood clot. I also sent pictures to my midwife. She said the same, and we should have gone in but I was like, oh no, it's fine if it's just a blood clot, that's normal. Like the hospital told me that you're probably gonna pass some blood clots when you go home, but they were meaning like teeny tiny ones, and I was thinking that was normal to have a giant one like that, and it's not. If you have softball blood clots, no matter what people tell you, go in. Go see what's wrong. Whenever I went in and saw this midwife, I told her about the blood clots. I told her about the pain. And she checked me and she was like, you definitely have like a pretty serious uterine infection. They gave me some antibiotics, and then I went home, took those, and they didn't help until like 48 hours after, which is what the midwife was telling me would happen anyways, and it's so true. I felt terrible until 48 hours after, and then I felt a whole lot better. And all that together, I think, made it to where I was just done. I didn't want her. I didn't know who she was. I felt emotionally disconnected for probably about 3 months postpartum. And then in my 4th month, I felt like I really started to like love Nora. I like still loved her, but I didn't like fully love and accept who she was and like how she came into the world, and I didn't really accept a lot of things until around 4 months. I'm still, this may sound really dramatic, but I still am like grieving the fact that I didn't have my dream home birth, and it might take me like a good little bit to be okay with that. And whenever I say that, I don't mean I'm not thankful for the hospital and the midwives that helped me have her. The only bad part was the Foley bulb, really, but my midwives were amazing. I had her birth ended up being great, and I'm so thankful, but I still need to give myself that space to like heal from all that. It was a lot. I started feeling good physically, and I gained some weight back like in a good way, but things that helped me through all of that were I had an amazing husband who knew there was something wrong with me and knew when to ask me and knew when to seek help, and made me feel like I wasn't a bad mom, because I thought I didn't deserve her because of all these feelings, and I didn't know how to connect with my husband with this new baby, because he was in this blissful season of like loving her, and I just didn't yet, and I thought there was something wrong with me. So having him was the #1 thing, and then being able to talk to a therapist was extremely helpful to me. And I only had 1 session with her. I probably could have had more, but I feel like I got a lot of clarity from that 1 session. And also my doula, I love my doula. Her name's Allie. She was also my postpartum doula, which is an extremely important thing for me to have. I'm so glad we ended up having her postpartum as well. She was there for my birth. Well, she was there for my whole pregnancy and my birth and postpartum, and it was amazing. I like walked through the whole birth with her multiple times. She actually filmed my birth, like the part of like Nora actually being born, she filmed. And I didn't watch that. Well, I watched it once, like the day after having her, and that's when it was like, well, who is that? Because that is not me. I legit told Chip that that was not me in the video. It was like very surreal, and I would not advise watching your birth video the day after having your baby, but I watched it like a month after, and I watched it every day for a while afterwards, and it really helped my brain figure out that, like, no, that was me. I did that. I birthed her. That is my baby that I grew in my tummy, that the Lord blessed us with. And having that video was so important to me, and so without Allie I wouldn't have had that. And another big thing is, once I started feeling better physically, I emotionally started connecting better with Nora and was just having a much better time with it mentally. And I just kind of wanted to let you guys in on what postpartum depression was like for me, and I really wanted to like talk about it because I don't think it's talked about enough, because it's a very, very real thing, and it's a hard thing. And I just kind of want to share my story because, you know, you have this vision that your birth is going to be this beautiful thing, and maybe it will be. Maybe I'm not trying to scare anybody or anything, but you know, it's different for everyone. No one's going to be able to tell you what your recovery is going to be like emotionally or physically. Now I am 6 months postpartum, and I am so emotionally connected to my daughter. She is everything, and I love her so much. I'm gonna start crying again. Oh my gosh. I love her so much, and I really wouldn't change anything, except I would have gone to the emergency room way before I did. Her birth was still beautiful regardless of how she came here. She's here, she's safe. I'm here, I'm safe. I'm no longer struggling with postpartum depression, which is really awesome. But for some moms it lasts a whole year. It lasts till they're 2. Some moms it only lasts a week. So it is a very real thing, and don't feel like you're alone if that is you. I felt very isolated, very alone, very helpless, and because of my husband, because of the grace of God, and because of the people around me, like, and my family, my mom coming and helping me. My parents and my family live in Mobile, Alabama. We live in South Carolina. She was there the week after I had Nora. Both of my parents were, and they had to go back home, and they were going to come back a few weeks later, but whenever all that infection stuff was going on, and I didn't want to be by myself with Nora because I didn't know what I was going to do, I called my mom and was like, I need you here. I need you here right now. Like, this is not healthy. This isn't good. I can't even like stand up by myself. I don't know what I'm going to do with her. And my mom was amazing. She literally came the next day, and that's like an 8 to 10 hour drive. Thank goodness therapy too, honestly. I'm doing so much better. And it was just a short season that really wasn't that great, but I got through it. We're doing good. So I did also want to talk just a little bit about like my physical changes, like postpartum. I did have the Diastisis Recti, I think is what it's called, where your abs separate. Like I said, I had a very large belly. It was pretty big. So anyways, I had a pretty large belly, and so I had a very large separation. Like, honestly, I could fit my fist this way in between my abs. It was very weird. Like whenever I laid down and you lean your head up, you can see how big your like bulge is or whatever, and your belly button kind of caves in. So my belly was like that for a long time. I had a lot of back pain, and I didn't really have any support from my core. Next time around, I really want to focus on how I can prepare my body for that during pregnancy to help with postpartum, because I did not prepare in any way for that. I have been doing these little ab exercises. They're not high impact. It's like specifically for ab separation. So I was doing that every morning for a while, and that did help, but I'm still like, I've got this much space in between my abs now. So it has closed in a lot, but I still don't have the strongest core. I still have some back pain, but it's definitely not like it was from the beginning. Like I said, I lost 40 pounds in 2 weeks, which I am not saying that to say like, look at me, I lost 40 pounds. No, it was very unhealthy. I was very sick and I was eating a ton. So it wasn't like I was trying to lose weight. My body was literally just getting rid of everything because I had this infection. I was just having blood clots and like losing so much weight. I had no color, my iron was so low. It was just really bad. I was really sick. But then I ended up gaining some weight back in a good way. So then I ended up being around my pre-pregnancy weight, and now I'm at my same weight that I was before I was pregnant. Oh, I've lost half of my head of hair. I'm not even kidding. At 4 months postpartum, but apparently at 4 months postpartum, it's like a 4-month hair loss known thing. And I don't know if that happens to everybody. I thought I was doing great. I was like, look, Chip, I'm not having any hair loss, because I heard that could happen, but I didn't know it would happen at 4 months. I was like, look, my hair's still great. And then I get to 4 months and literally half my hair is gone. It used to be double this. I've lost so much. Like, I have baby hair, like I lost a bunch right here. You can see like my baby hairs on both sides. I had like 2 little bald spots, and then I've always had some shorter hairs right here. But y'all, this is like this whole section used to be so thick and so long. And look at it. And that's on both sides. But, you know, out of everything else that's happened, that's been like the least of my worries. Let me show you my stomach. This is my stomach postpartum, my belly. This is like 6 months. Like I said, I still have this line. My belly does cave, my belly button caves in right here because of that space. Stretch marks right at the bottom of my belly, and then like at the top. I'm getting like very up close. But anyways, okay, she's still sleeping. Like, look at this baby. Look at that sweet baby. She's sleeping so hard. I was hoping to kind of close out with her because I just love closing out videos with her. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I would love it if you would subscribe or like this video. I make a lot of motherhood content, and I'm really loving this community that we're building on this corner of the internet. So I would love for you to be a part of it. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.